Paris Saint-Germain beat Manchester City. This is where, if my co-host were here, you'd be going like this. But
I won't be doing that.
No, you won't be doing that. You'll be rather more acceptive. They won 2-0 in a heavyweight clash between two of the Champions League favorites. Robbo, what did we learn? And I suggest you start with Messi because the next segment starts with Cristiano.
Messi, I thought, had a very quiet first half. It took him a long time to get involved in the game. He was playing on the right-hand side.
No, you're only supposed to celebrate his goal and talk about how brilliant that was.
And after he scored his goal, which was an excellent goal, of course, on the counter-attack, and Mbappe did brilliantly to play the ball back into his path. Good finish. And then he started to show that he could control a game. You know, when they were 1-0 up, or 2-0 up, he started to get on the ball and he started to pick his passes. He played around pressure. He had a very good last 20 minutes. And I thought maybe they would take him off and rest him for that last 20 minutes. But that's when he came to the fore. So he was good without being magnificent. He scored a great goal.
Does this work? Does those three together work? Or do you have to, what we saw now, you need a superhuman effort from the midfielders, no Di Maria, and kind of hang on for dear life and wait for
the biggest problem in the game for them to start with was any switch of play out to Riyad Mahrez was causing them a problem because the left back was tucked in, and in the end it meant that Gay had to go out and almost be a left-sided midfield player because Neymar was still high up the field. Mbappe obviously was in the centre forward position. You can't ask him to run back and cover that area. But then, of course, it left them a little bit short in midfield because Gay had to go out to almost another left back. So the next switch of play, the thing that I was really impressed with, and you saw him a lot for Inter, and I saw him a lot for Inter, Hakimi was great going forward at Inter. He showed in this game he could defend.
He can defend too. He's multifaceted.
He defended well in 1v1 situations against Grealish, and he made Grealish look very average. Grealish didn't go past him at all, I don't think. Certainly not on the outside.
I don't think City played badly.
No, they didn't.
But equally, there is a stain that Paris Saint-Germain would point out and say, well, De Bruyne should have been sent off.
Yes, there was every possibility that he could have got sent off. He won the ball with his toe, which he wasn't. His studs weren't shown there, but the follow-through did go into Gay.
Could he have controlled that?
No, I don't think he could have controlled that because,
So you filed it under the reckless.
Yeah, I wouldn't send him off for it. I said, I was doing the commentary. I said it was the yellow card is the right decision, and he kept his cool for the rest of the game and didn't commit any more fouls. Gay was then inspired. I thought he had an excellent game, and PSG showed that they could play.
But if you're Pep, you don't pull your hair out here. Not that you or Pep have much of it.
I think the problem, he would have been disappointed with Grealish because they had what PSG did. They played with a narrow back four. They said you can have it out wide. Right. Now what are you going to do when you get it out wide? And Grealish didn't do enough. I thought Mahrez played some good balls into the box. He played little balls around the corner for De Bruyne to get crosses in and Bernardo Silva. It was just the final pass, the final finish wasn't good enough.
All right, but they're in good shape.
No Morata, no Dybala, no problem at all as Chiesa scores the goal that helps Juventus beat Chelsea 1-0. Gab, were you expecting that?
No, I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting Chiesa to basically play centre forward. Yeah. I thought they'd have to reinvent this, but Juventus, this is a big win for Juve. A really, really big win because, it's almost like Allegri had set this up by saying, well, it doesn't really matter this game because we're going to, it's going to be the games against Zenit that are going to determine whether we go through or not, which is probably true. But, this really builds confidence. I thought they were very organized.
Do you think he set them up to be a counter-attacking team, or do you think they were forced to be a counter-attacking team?
No, I think he set them up that way. I think he very clearly set them up that way, and it's one way of playing. I don't think that works regularly in Europe, but it worked on this night, so they got the 3 points they wanted. Now, Robbo, though, since the last international break, turning to Chelsea, other than, I'd say, one half against Spurs, they haven't played particularly well at all. They lost against a high possession team like City at the weekend, and then they lose to a low possession counterattacking team like Juve in the Champions League. What's the problem? I mean, it should be.
Well, I've watched them in all their games this season. Apart from the game against Arsenal, they're not using Lukaku to the best of their ability. We saw him a lot at Inter, where Antonio Conte wanted every time the ball came into midfield to play balls around the corner, to get it into Lukaku's feet and then play from there. I don't think Lukaku, people keep saying, well, he's a box player, he's a goal scorer. I think he's an all-round player.
He can do a lot more.
He can do a lot more. And I think you need to play through him more and then have players coming off of him. And that's when he's at his best, that we can link up with somebody.
Well, Jules said that it was wrong to play Lukaku and Werner at the weekend because Werner doesn't go short and he only goes, whereas Lautaro can go short and go long.
Yeah.
Is it as simple as that? Can you put him with Havertz?
But I think you could play with
Pulisic.
You could play with a front three, as they have with Ziyech on the right-hand side, or Havertz, not out wide, but closer, like Antonio Conte did when he was at Chelsea when Diego Costa, and he had two players coming off him. So I think they've got to get more out of Lukaku by playing to his strengths.
Get more.
Bayern demolished Dynamo Kyiv 5-0. They're looking good, aren't they?
They're looking good. I like the fact that this was kind of the hybrid back three with Sula as a right back tucking in and Davies pushing up. I don't know what to say.
3.5-man defence, Ancelotti would call it, wouldn't
it? The 3.5-man defence. It works. And I am genuinely surprised. This feels more and more like a Nagelsmann team. He's not just doing what Flick did. He's adding elements to it. So well done, Julian. Carlo Ancelotti has 3 Champions League titles at home, 5 if you count the ones he won as a player. But Robbo, they somehow lost at the Bernabeu to Sheriff Tiraspol, and they didn't look great in a late win against Inter on match day 1 either.
Well, forget the Inter game.
And they didn't look great against Villarreal either.
They weren't very good against Villarreal. That's absolutely right. They had 31 shots against Sheriff.
So you're saying freak result.
The goalkeeper had an absolute worldie. He saved everything that came his way. I mean, they had chance after chance, and then Sheriff go and score 2 great goals.
You should chill out.
Yeah,
chill out.
It wasn't a terrible performance
there
at all.
You go. No. Chill out.
Now, sticking with Sheriff, Gab, you wrote a column, a great column apparently, so you told me, saying that they're to be both celebrated and lamented. How's that possible?
Look, they're to be celebrated because these are 11 no-names and journeyman players, and I say that with the absolute respect, and they achieved something incredible in this game. They achieved something incredible against Shakhtar Donetsk, against Red Star Belgrade, and against Dynamo Zagreb to even get here, okay? This is incredible. The guy who scored the winning goal at the end, he's from Luxembourg. He's 27 years old. He has 16 caps.
Isn't he one of Luxembourg's greatest ever players?
No, he has 16 caps. When you're 27, you have 16 caps from Luxembourg, you're probably not a Champions League caliber player. There are 27 caps in this team in total. That center forward is from Uzbekistan. He's 23, 24 years old. He has 3 caps. They've got a bunch of South American players who they signed from weird second-rate teams, and yet they can go out and achieve this. Or as I wrote,
credit to the coach then.
They have Adama Traore, but not that Adama Traore. They have Cristiano, but not that Cristiano. It's like, they have the non-union equivalents. I don't know. So that's fantastic that they can do this. Other side of it is, I don't want to get geopolitical here, but, you have, they've won 19 of the last 21 titles in Moldova. They're owned by a conglomerate, which was formed by 2 KGB agents. And if you go to Transnistria, there's the Sheriff supermarket. You fill up at the Sheriff gas station. Your cell phone it goes on SheriffNet or whatever it's called. This is kind of what it takes for teams at this level to even have a hope of qualifying for the Champions League. And to me, that speaks to a dysfunction in the system. A late Cristiano Ronaldo goal helps Manchester United defeat Villarreal 2-1. Robbo, United were very poor for most of this match, but I guess that's why Ronaldo's there?
Yeah, not the only reason he's there. Yeah, he's there to score goals, of course he is. But I'd also like to see him link up the play a little bit better. I'd like him to hold up the play and make more runs. Manchester United were very poor, and all over the pitch, I didn't think they defended particularly well. They didn't play with any sort of
fluency.
Were
they poor or were Villarreal really good?
I saw Villarreal against Real Madrid, and I thought they were excellent. Capoue absolutely ran the game, and Solskjaer didn't do his homework particularly, because Danjuma was the best player against Real Madrid on the left-hand side, and Capoue played really well as the midfield player, and they didn't really stop those two. So Dalot had a poor game against Danjuma. I thought obviously Ronaldo scored the goal. It was great that he scored that last goal. That's why they bought him. But Manchester United have to improve all over the pitch.
The midfield that really left the defence exposed, I thought.
Meanwhile, in the same group, Atalanta beat Young Boys 1-0, and it could have been more, couldn't it, Gab? Gasparini's boys are back, aren't they?
Yeah, they had a bit of a slow start to the season, which they attributed to the fact that Gasparini is kind of has these old school mega workloads in preseason training. But yeah, I thought they looked really, really good. This came on the back of
probably their best team as well. Best 11 out on the pitch.
Close to it. I mean, he's changed a few things around, but I thought impressive performance and tees up that double clash with United very nicely in this group. A late contested penalty gives Atletico Madrid a 2-1 win over Milan. Robbo, I am totally with Milan coach Stefano Pioli, who said, let's just say the referee wasn't man of the match. Are you?
I'm with Pioli, and I'm with you, Gab. I thought the sending off was, yes, Kessie does catch him slightly and probably shouldn't make the tackle, but I don't think it's a second yellow card. I think the referee's got to be better than that. And the penalty in the 95th minute.
Kalulu and Lamar batting the ball around.
I think the ball almost looks like it could hit Lamar as well on the arm. Again, I think it's the wrong decision. I think it's a tough decision. And I feel sorry for Milan, who had defended well for much of the game with 10 men.
Yeah, I thought Milan played really well, actually.
High tempo, great to hear the crowd get behind them.
Yeah, and Rafael Leao, the goal where he scored a great goal, I thought, but also the one that goes off the crossbar. If that goes in, that becomes like your, goal of the season, instant goal of the season contender.
Now, Liverpool destroy Porto away 5-1. Gab, in their last 3 trips to the Estadio de Dragao, they've scored 15 goals.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they could play their home games, even the Premier League home games there. I don't know what they would do. No, this was a tremendous performance. This really impressed me because I thought the Brentford game at the weekend would have taken a lot out of them physically. No, they went out there. They absolutely ripped them to shreds. The Porto goalkeeper Diogo Costa had a real difficult game, but take nothing away from Liverpool.
Are Liverpool back to where they were 2 years ago?
I've seen them play really well this season. Interestingly, too, like Matip, I thought he'd be number 4 with, after Konate, Gomez coming back on. No, he's starting and he's playing very well. If anything, it's Van Dijk, who maybe isn't back to the crazy levels he was at, but that simply means you've got more to come.
But the speed of their counter-attacks is back to where it was a couple of years ago.
Terrifying. My only question is depth in midfield. That's my only question. Yeah. After beating Hertha 6-0 at the weekend, Leipzig lose at home to Bruges 2-1. 0 points from 2 games, and they get to play Paris Saint-Germain next. Why isn't that good? Robbo, is this the beginning of the end for Jesse Marsch? Or simply the end of the beginning?
I think the beginning maybe of the end, because I've seen them in Bundesliga a couple of times, and they are inconsistent. As you said, beat Hertha 6-0. They were excellent. Seen them on other occasions play really poorly. And at the moment, they're too easy to play against. They're too easy to break down. We saw that in the Champions League. They've got to change things. Now, Inter travelled to Shakhtar for the 3rd time in 3 years again and failed to win, Gab. It wasn't good, was it?
No, it wasn't good. I think there's like a weird Shakhtar kryptonite there, but I think got to give credit to De Zerbi. He's a really good manager. I love what he took from Sassuolo with what was already there. If Dzeko takes that early chance, we don't have this conversation. I think it's as simple as that. But they need to do better. Now they're up against it. 1 point from 2 games.
Their Champions League record in the last few years hasn't been good, has it?
They got to be the ones who got to go and shoot the Sheriff. There you go. That is my only stupid Sheriff joke of the show. No Erling Haaland, but Borussia Dortmund managed a 1-0 win against Sporting. I guess it's some relief given how uneven they've been in the Bundesliga.
Well, it's a bit of a surprise because I've only seen Dortmund play well. I've done a couple of Bundesliga games where they played really well. I saw them against Besiktas where they won quite comfortably there, although they couldn't keep a clean sheet. They've still got problems defensively. They're great going forward. They've still got problems defensively. At times they hold too high a line. They don't work hard enough in midfield to defend. They've still got defensive problems. That's why they're inconsistent.
Yeah, and I'm not sure Marco Rose has shown anything of the Marco Rose we wanted or needed.
Sevilla get a late draw at Wolfsburg, but Gab, we saw one of the worst refereeing decisions you will ever see. Is that right?
This is absolutely grotesque, and I say this as somebody who likes Sevilla more than Wolfsburg because Van Bommel was a player I absolutely loathed. If you haven't seen this, I don't know what to tell you. Find it on the internet, and it should come with a warning. Basically, late in the game, Joshua Gilavogi goes to clear the ball. On the follow-through of his foot, Eric Lamela, he actually clears the ball. The ball goes up the pitch. Eric Lamela essentially runs into him, runs into his foot on the follow-through. The referee doesn't give the penalty. And bear in mind, it's the end of the game. It's like minute 87 or something. Referee doesn't give the penalty. VAR is Dutch, Kevin Blom, who I think is a pretty experienced VAR. He says, no, why don't you take another look at it? I don't know if this referee only looked at the freeze frame or what, but he goes out and he gives...
It would say that the referee doesn't understand the game when you see that decision that was made.
I just thought this was absolutely grotesque, and I feel for Wolfsburg. Never thought I'd say that. Ajax also make it 2 wins in 2, beating Besiktas. That man, Sebastian Aller, on the score sheet once again. Are we underestimating Ajax a little? Gravenberch, Tadic?
Who's underestimating them? Because I think they're
Anthony.
I think they're a good side. Besiktas were very weak in terms of the players they had available. They had a lot of injuries and a lot of players out, so it was a very young team they put out and a very inexperienced Champions League side. But Ajax and Haller played well and fully deserved their victory. I think Ajax are a good side at the moment.
I can see Ajax tripping up Dortmund.
Yeah,
I don't want to say anything, but I think they can. I just did.
Zenit St. Petersburg romp past Malmo 4-0. Gab, this group looks like a three-way dance between them. Chelsea and Juventus.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And, as I said before, they made this whole thing about how it's us and Zenit for second place. Yeah, maybe. And, if you're Chelsea, you go and you stuff Malmo, who I don't want to be mean, but, I think
defended
the numbers,
horribly in that game, didn't they?
The numbers, the 3-0, 4-0 now, speak for themselves. I'll tell you what, that win by Juve looms even larger than before, because I think it just takes a lot of pressure, because I don't think Zenit are beating Chelsea at home.
No.
And that is kind of what moves the needle. Two Karim Adeyemi penalties help Salzburg pass Lille as they win 2-1. Rob, Salzburg are top of the group. Could they actually be better than last season? And what's wrong with Lille?
Well, let's start with Salzburg. I think they can be. They're still playing open football. They're playing at a really good pace. They're defending well all around the field. I've been really impressed with them so far. Lille aren't playing with the same intensity as they were last season, and that quite often happens.
You almost think they changed managers.
Yeah, of course. And when you win a title, sometimes the players forget how they won it. And that was the intensity, the spirit, whatever they were doing, the style of play, and they go back off of that and lose that intensity, and suddenly they struggle, and that's what's happening with Lille at the moment.
It's got to be more than just losing Maignan and Soumaré.
Yeah,
got to be
absolutely.
More.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.